Respectfully, you cannot beat a classic. I have tried many a time, many a year, to replace the feeling of playing one of the OG RTS games of my childhood, Age of Mythology. I decided to boot up the game recently just to see how it plays in 2023, and just, wow.
Daddy, chill.
This legitimately may be the greatest RTS game that you never played, at least in my opinion. And after 20 years, here's what it's like. So kicking the game back on, I decided my first match will be what I used to love as a kid. A simple random 1 versus X against AI. I picked 3 to start. I don't ever believe I pushed to moderate difficulty because I was a crybaby back then and kind of am now. Anyway, so let's do it. Random map, random god. I did think about just jumping straight into PvP, but listen, I only have so little time to play, and when I actually do have time to play, I want to enjoy myself anyway. Let's go. My first match, I am playing as Zeus. All right, basic, clear cut, straight to the point. And I literally am smacked with a wave of nostalgia. I remember these graphics and these controls like I remember my mother's birthday. Shit, was that last week? Anyway, I get straight into it. I command my scout to cover as much land as possible, looking for resources, the enemy, maybe a relic or 2 on its way. I start recruiting some villagers, get the food production rolling. One of my favorite things about this game is the sound effect spam that you can do just by mass clicking a single building. It was a simpler time back then. Anyway, I gather up the food I need and I build a temple. So now it's time to upgrade the town center, pick a new god and move on. Easy. I am not worried in the least bit of how this game will go because I'm an OG pro. I played it way back when. It's like riding a bike. Once I upgraded my center, I build some military buildings and then upgrade my towers because it is a 1 versus 3 and I'm expecting quite a bit of pressure, so we need those towers pumping. I get a couple of units, mythical unit as well, and I'm ready, or at least what I think is ready. As I expected, here comes the first enemy wave. Except it's not just a wave, it's a goddamn tsunami. I do the best that I can given what I have, but I'm overrun incredibly quick. My towers don't do enough damage, having only like 4 units is a terrible idea, it's not looking good. Oh, by the way, I somehow lost like 5 villagers in that wave, and yeah, we just barely recovered, and here we go. I'm building more units, and here comes the next set of wave. And this is only like 5 minutes into the game. I resign like the filthy peasant I am and decide a new approach. So instead of doing a 1 versus 3, I decide to do a 1 versus 2. Let's scale it down just a little bit. Keep it at the moderate difficulty, but random god, random map, round 2, here we go. I pick up Hades as my random roll. So let's try this again and maybe not be such a little bee. I load up my town center with the unique god power from Hades, which summons a bunch of sentinels that help me defend my territory. Repeat what I just did, but much more min-maxing, and here we go. We're picking up a lot more steam a lot quicker. I get ready with a significant amount of units and a couple of myth units, and I am ready for the wave. Thankfully, the upgraded towers and the sentinels make it incredibly hard for the enemies to break in. I push them off, and knowing that I have 2 near elder cyclops, I am ready to siege.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
The early problem in Age of Mythology, and it's something I learned real quickly, is with pushing enemy bases is the amount of siege damage that you need, or crushing damage. Lots of damage that you will be able to recruit early on is more about hacking or piercing, but very few options for crushing. I'm hoping my Cyclops will win the day. While I am away, I'm still recruiting more units for the defense of my town, and I also become a lot more reactive at garrisoning my villagers into the town center to avoid any unnecessary deaths, which is something that I feel like a fool that I forgot. The Cyclops break the buildings down and we steamroll them easy. They resign and now it's your standard 1 versus 1. The Atlantean is still sieging me with units, but now I have advanced to the heroic age. I not only have my Cyclops as siege units, but I can build a fortress. I forgot how much I love the town defense in this game. It's a simply satisfying feeling, just being able to hold off a big attack and then counter with your own accord. It's so good. So as I'm teching and improving my units, I do catch a cheeky llama running away from me towards the far corner of the map. At some point, the AI snuck off and built a market all the way up here in this corner. I legit say out loud, you clever girl. I repel their next advance, and now it is time to use my underworld passage to capture a nearby settlement. I am literally on their doorstep. Once I'm in range, knowing that they do not have a strong military force, I use Pestilence, which prevents all military buildings from producing any units. I can assault them without them being able to do a damn thing. Knowing that their military buildings are the most vital to attack, I focus them down, while microing some of my units in and out in hopes that they don't die. After a brief fight and knocking down the town center, the AI concedes, and I get my first win in Age of Mythology in an extremely long time. This is a feeling that I had missed for quite a while. Age of Mythology is a nostalgic flashback to when RTS games had a certain new style of magic to them, when the game wasn't overly complex, didn't offer tons of little micro systems and panels, and certainly weren't as slow as some games are now today. It was straightforward. Build your base, build units, push the enemy over. Nothing crazy, nothing flashy, just simplistic fun. Now, to be sure, that isn't to say that some of the newer RTS games are not fun or interesting in their own light. It just seems like a lot of newer games, especially new RTS games, are focused on let's be super unique, and what they end up doing is making the game far too complicated. Whereas sometimes I miss the basic RTS flow, the tried and true gameplay loop that made us love this game or similar games such as StarCraft, Warcraft, or even Age of Empires. Despite the simplistic tendencies of this game, it is still a masterpiece. The gameplay isn't super complex to pick up and play. It can be difficult to master, especially when you're putting yourself against tougher AI or real-life players, but that's the beauty of it. You can win any fight if you simply outnumber the enemies. Or, if you are at a numbers disadvantage, you can win by microing and knowing which units counter who. Some of your myth units can come in clutch and win the day, or perhaps your hero unit killing off the enemy myth unit that is terrorizing your human units. There are so many levels of like rock, paper, scissors here that it isn't too difficult to understand, but it is irresistible to put down. In all fairness, of course, the game does show its age. It is a dated, almost pixelated graphics that do nothing but look like somewhat of a blind man's police sketch. It also has sometimes wonky AI, mild bugs, and more, but that is inconsequential in my mind. Graphics don't make a game great. Seriously, they don't. I mean, look at Undertale and its wild success. You can't beat great gameplay just because you put on a fresh coat of paint. And kind of speaking of a fresh coat of paint, it has recently been announced that they are working on a remake of the Age of Mythology game called Age of Mythology Retold, which has a fresh facelift and everything. No true details of the game have been released, and that does also include we don't know the release date, but I wonder if it will bring this great game back into the limelight. I love Age of Mythology, and it has been a long time since I have truly sat down to an RTS from my childhood and was able to be like a kid again. 20 years later, Age of Mythology is still unbelievably good, and it is a game that I would recommend to anyone who wants to see what a true classic is like. If you are more interested into a newer RTS game, check out the brutal new player experience of Dune Spice Wars. As always, stay caffeinated, folks.